Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? It's the same lady representing Team JBS back here again for another Welcome to Blumhouse presentation. This is the final film. Welcome to the review for Evil Eye. Now, the thing about Evil Eye is that I didn't look at any kind of previews whatsoever about this one, just like I did the other ones. But I got this really weird vibe about the way that it started off, because it had like this Indian female, she was pregnant, and by all intents and purposes, just from the opening, it looked like she had got assaulted and possibly killed. And then fast forward, 30 years later, she's still alive. She's got a beautiful daughter that's living in America, that lives in New Orleans. She still lives in a place in India, living with her husband. But you can tell she is very paranoid about who and what her daughter is around. One of the things I did like about this is from an authenticity standpoint, from a traditional standpoint, from people being married off based on a cultural standpoint, as well as, you wanting to make sure that your daughter or your son don't make the same exact mistakes that you make. That's one of the things that's the paranoia and the paradox of this entire film. A lot of the motivations that the daughter is moving is because her mother has been so worried about what could potentially happen or what could happen based on certain events that she puts herself in as an independent, strong female. And the thing about it was that I think it's a very good performance by Sarita Choudhury, who plays the role of the mother. I think that from a performance standpoint, she is clocking it. Like she goes from different ranges, from emotion, empathy, to very charismatic, to very just depressed and like tormented. And I think that she's the driving force that really platforms a lot of it. Now, from a written standpoint, a big bulk of the issue with it is that people weren't communicating. People weren't talking about what was really going on. And I think that also as an audience person, I felt like I wasn't communicated to. In terms of what the evil eye is, what the concept of it is, if you are not paying attention, it's gonna gloss all over you. From the birth and inception of the daughter and everything that's surrounding that, if you're not paying attention, it's gonna go right over your head. The things they do get very well from a storytelling standpoint is the trauma, the abuse, and the cycle of abuse, and the fear of the cycle of abuse that can actually go and platform and push somebody into something that you do not want them to go down the road of. And then you got the other side of this film, which is the supernatural side, which I am not going to talk about. That is completely spoiler free for me. Let's just say the twist in and of itself, it kind of came up and I was like, I think the bad thing about the twist is that I saw it coming from a mile away. But it's kind of like the reality of the actual twist makes it so much more messed up. And I felt like they had an opportunity of doing something that I feel like Invisible Man perfected, which is when, the veil is lifted over, you just go for it. Like you show, the antagonists to what they really are, and just kind of go and drive it home. And I felt like they kind of reserved a lot of it back based on the circumstances that surrounded the third act of the film. And I also think that the daughter, played by Sunita Mani, playing the role of Pallavi, I think she did a really good job with the source material she was given. It's just the dialogue and her character motivations came from a very childlike perspective. I can understand the overbearingness of somebody telling you who you gotta be with and what you're supposed to be and who you gotta be promised to and who you gotta love. And I mean, it's maddening. Like the worst thing that can happen for any kid growing up is feeling like they're being controlled or looked down upon, or that they're not good enough, or whatever they do isn't good enough. Like that's tormenting. Like kids actually go and develop different disorders and different trauma related issues on a mental and emotional level that can really mess them up and put them down a very dark path. And I think that she executed that pretty well, but her character was all over the place. It wasn't a consistent spiral down. It was always like, I'm gonna come back to this, or I'm gonna come back to that, or I'm gonna believe this but then not believe that. And I felt like the believability with a lot of the decisions that were kind of being made it felt like it was just, you know, being pushed just to push it, as opposed to a natural progression of things actually happening. And I think that could have been written and done a little bit better. Also, the person that plays her boyfriend, played by Omar Maskati, I think that he did a pretty good job, but it from the second to third acts, his transitions from a lot of the things that they were having him have to go through, it was just kind of unbelievable in terms of his performance. Not necessarily what was happening, but his performance really didn't, you know, show me much. And a part of that also has a little bit to do with some things they didn't set up well in the first act. One of the things they do in this film throughout is a lot of exposition without a lot of payoff, and, you know, focus in on a lot of the things that kind of happen. And I think a part of that is the allotted amount of time you have. This is only an hour and 38-minute movie, if that. So I think that also is one of the things that, you know, limits the amount of storytelling that can be done in a certain amount of capacity. I think from a cultural standpoint, and just from a community standpoint, like the people that were surrounding the mom and the people that are surrounding the daughter, I think they definitely catered more to the mom in terms of like believability of surroundings and people that she was interacting with. As far as, you know, the daughter's friends and stuff like that, I just really couldn't believe, you know, like their non-involvement with certain circumstances. It was left to a lot of exposition and a lot of things that the mother was talking about, or the dad was even talking about, that led you to believing in this as opposed to actually showing it. You know what I'm saying? I think that could have been doubled down on. One of the things I love, like, I harp on this because this is more in connection to Invisible Man than you think. Because one of the things I loved about Invisible Man is that she had people surrounding her that, regardless of how crazy it sounded, like they at least were trying to perceive what was going on. And I give credits also to the performance of the father. I think he did a crazy job. Like he actually was the most neutral but believable out of everything, out of everyone. He just, yeah, I thought he did a really good job with it. Now, I'll say this, this was a pretty good film, but I think that it just could have been so much better. And I think this would have benefited from either one, being told differently in terms of the way that the pacing of the processing between different, you know, character development moments. Because even like the time gaps, there's time that goes past. It wasn't a lot of recognition of time, wasn't a lot of recognition of certain circumstances. It wasn't a lot of recognition, understanding of what things really were. Again, I'm talking about the evil eye. I don't know like certain things if you don't pay attention to it. But as far as a rating, I give this maybe a 6.5 out of 10. I don't think it was bad in any way, shape, or form. I just think that it could have been executed a lot better. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this review. I'll talk to you guys later on. Keep it locked. JBS, we're going to stop and definitely go and check out Welcome to Blumhouse on Amazon Prime. And if you haven't checked out our reviews for Not Crone, as well as The Lie and Black Box, go and check them out right now. I think you'll have a fun time with that, and you'll definitely have a fun time from the viewing experience. Peace, guys.